Today we're going to start painting this rose. We're just going to start with some of the outside petals, and I'll be demonstrating one petal at a time and then stopping the video and making a different video. Thanks for watching. I'm going to start with this tiny petal back at the back, right here, just to give a feel for what's going on. I like to turn my paper the direction I'm going to paint. And this is quite an orange red, so I'm just going to get some bright red, which is pyrrole red, and actually mix a little bit of orange with it. And before I make it all dark back there, I'm going to get this bright part in here. And then go into some darker colors. Well, that was the wrong color. I'm going to mix some blue in with it. It's some really dark blue, indigo, and get some purple going for that. Now that's not dark enough, so I'll have to add a little bit more of the indigo and make my paint a little bit denser, because it's pretty dark over there. Now they're both wet, and I'm still don't have my paint pasty enough over here, but that's something, it's easy to fix. Just add more paint. Okay, now I got it. I'm going to get in that little corner. And I'm going to let these bump into each other and run a little bit, and then I'll smooth them out. The thing to do if you don't want blooms to happen is to the paint that you add to be drier, thicker paint than the paint where you're adding it to. And that is not what I did here. So it's going to run a little bit, and I'll smooth out these edges. Now down here I'm going to add some red, because the red actually shows down in there. So that it's a red and purple looking petal. And again, smooth these edges where it's running. And the best thing I think that I can do at this point is just put more thicker paint on this part so that it pushes back. There, that's better. Okay. I think that's good for that petal. It's a little bit lighter way down inside there. Now that's a pretty huge contrast. I'm squinting at it and thinking, wow. So because I think it might be too huge, I'm going to add some red over here and soften that side. All right. There we go. One of my tools that I use a lot is one of these, two of these, a little square that shows you how dark you have it. So that, you know, that's going to have to get a little bit darker. That's probably pretty close. And that's pretty close. All right, on to the next petal. We're going to choose one totally on the opposite side, and if I feel the need to fix this a little bit more, I can do that at the end. And let's see which petal. I think we'll choose, getting my picture mixed up, what direction? Oh, the wrong picture. Could you hand me the horizontal one, please? No wonder I'm getting confused. Okay. I'm going to, this, all the way from here over is one petal, but I'm going to start just on this section since it has a dividing shadow, just to do another small area before I get into a big area. And this one's much oranger. Almost a yellow with some red. I am not going to do all the little lines in there. It's too much of a good thing. I had to up the contrast a lot to get this picture to be easy to paint from, and I don't really want that much detail in this rose. I want the petals to look velvety and soft like roses do. Okay, so we have that, and then it's lighter down in this corner, so I'm going to lift some off. And then add a little bit of red into these places up here. Just little bits of red. And then the shadows. Now these shadows are so dark on this sunny side of the flower. I think maybe I'll add that shadow after my painting is dry, or darken it more after it's dry. And just put the basic outline of it. But on this side of the flower where it's all sunny, I'm going to make the whole thing slightly brighter than on this other side where it's, on this side where it's very more in the shadows. Okay, let's try a big petal. I'm going to get a bigger brush, and I'm going to start with some yellow right in the corner. So that I hopefully don't lose that lovely bright yellow in there. I might need to make it a little bit less green. That color had gotten contaminated a bit, and then we're going to go into the more oranger color. And I want them to blend, so I'm going to dry my brush and just go back over that edge, back and forth a little bit, so that it blends. And then it gets into slightly redder here, a little bit more slightly than that. I'm going to go all the way across and do, again, blend it in with my brush dried off pretty well. Okay, now this edge, it actually gets lighter, and that's what shows the curve, so I'm agitating that quite a bit along that edge, but now I need to dry my brush and go back and redo that edge because I lost that darker color. Okay. And then going into a darker, slightly darker, but not very dark, edge over here. The very, very edge is yellow. It's a very complex petal here. That shadow right there, we're going to leave out because the leaf doesn't show that casts that shadow, so it's confusing. I'm not turning my paper because I'm afraid I'll get it off of the screen. Usually I turn my paper different directions every time I paint a different side. Over here I'm going to lay down some of this brighter yellow again, and then put the other colors on. So it's got some quite red up in here. Some of it's behind the shadow, so you can't tell where it starts and ends, but it is what makes that leaf look curvy there, is having that darker color. And then into orange over here. I need to soften this edge. Okay, now I'm just going to look at it for a minute or two and see what I have and reassess. One of the things that will help this is if I get some of the streaks, that the direction of the petal, instead of just having these rows of color. So, and it lifts off of one color and transfers to another. See how it lifted a little bit there? And so you can get these striped looks that are, the curve of the petal.